So if you want to jump into learning more about my lovely little inspiration here, this is actually inspired from an actual work from an artist, a Native American artist called Jaune Quick-to-See Smith. So I do have a couple of important facts about her, and she is famous for being one of the most prominent Native American artists of the 20th century. So she is named Jaune in French from one of her parts of her heritage, and that means the color yellow. And then Quick to See is actually a name from her grandmother that she received. So the grandmother basically said, this child is very quick to see the truth. So that immediately became her Indian name. And she's known as a political and social commentary artist. She talks about things like environmentalism, colonialism, and the Native American identity. She has been exhibited in numerous museums, galleries, and included in the Smithsonian American Art Museum and Metropolitan Museum of Art. She's received multiple awards for her contributions to the art world, including the Lifetime Achievement Award for the Women's Caucus for Art. And her unique artistic style, which incorporates Native American imagery, so very similar to the pictographs that Native American imagery uses, that's our inspiration for today. And she has used these techniques to make herself a highly influential figure in the art world. So something to learn, right, Valerie? So we're going to be telling a story similar to what Jaune is doing here with this inspiration. So she uses these pastels. She uses a lot of pastels, collage work, painting, words. We're going to be working on this nice little map. I have oil pastels here. You can use chalk pastels, colored pencils, crayons, paint, whatever you have on hand to kind of mimic this story. And it's just basically just copying the shapes into a inspired Native American map. So a lot of these lines here that you see are representing footsteps. Of course, you see these are representing different types of housing and flatlands, and of course the various movements of rhythms of water and land here. So we have a trail, we have a body of water, we have symbols of sun. And so we're just going to recreate this cool little map, this little treasure map where X marks the spot, just using these oil pastels. Very quick, very easy. Oil pastels are very blendable, but can be very messy. So you may want to have some oil pastels and paper towels on hand if you don't like to get too messy. You can also have various things to blend with, such as other paint brushes. And today we're just going to keep it simple with this background. I have a cream colored beige background, and I'm just going to get started right away with coloring the background. And again, if you have colored pencils, I'm holding the oil pastel kind of at the tip and then coloring just right across with very light pressure, and just kind of filling in this background like so. Really just want to give it a little bit of an aged, tinted look. And believe it or not, this is the longest, most tedious part of the whole project. So yeah, a little bit more about Jaune Quick-to-See Smith is that she definitely believed in representing her culture through maps. And one of her more interesting works is that she made a map of the whole United States and took magazine clippings and created a collage and posted in each state a magazine clipping of an Native American person doing something newsworthy, and placed it in each state just to show and represent that in every state of the United States is a Native American group being represented and being recognized for doing notable works. So that's just a testament to what type of artist she was and what she believed people should be viewing. And another interesting thing about her and her inspiration is that she used maps to kind of redraw the way people normally think about how the US is represented. So, for instance, in Montana, where she was born, in the Pacific Northwest, she had a lot of maps showing that it wasn't just open plains and fields and space, but it was lived in lands by people, places, animals, and a wealth and rich heritage blooming in the plains. So where some European maps may show just borderlands, she liked to depict the richness of life and the lands that she experienced in her culture. Just really continuing and just giving the background an antique kind of see-through look. So I have this beigey cream color, and then I'm just going to go over it with a similar, more yellow tone, just to give it some more thickness and kind of blend it in. And you can just peel back the paper on this. And just keep going. This is right about the time that you're on the video and you want to just zoom through this part. But enjoy the process, because it really is relaxing and satisfying. If you like ASMR, the thought of just filling this page up with a nice beige shade and just kind of layering another lighter, more yellowed beige tone right on top should excite you. And again, just holding it kind of off to the side. You can do this with crayon, holding it the same way. That way you can cover more space more quickly, and just blending it into this peachy, bringing just a little bit more yellowed beige tone. And pressure really makes a difference. The harder you press, the smoother the look of the color goes with these oil pastels. But if you have colored pencils or crayons, it does have a layering effect the more times you kind of go over the surface area. Who doesn't love a good color, right? So now we're just moving on and just thinking about the placement of these shades. So as we continue to kind of fill this background, we can just look to our inspiration of the other colors that we'll need. We'll need some red, orange, a nice vibrant cerulean blue. Definitely need some greens and some browns and several shades of magenta and purple, a nice sky blue, some brown, and of course, a little bit of black. And these oil pastels are very affordable as well. I got this pack of 4 at the local Michael's for only $5.99, which isn't bad at all. for about the same cost of a pack of crayons these days. And again, just creating, filling in, trying to make quick work of getting this background the right shade. Another cool technique you can do with kind of tinting your background is taking some old coffee. So any leftover cold cup of coffee you have lying around, you can take a paintbrush and just tint it. Sorry for the technical difficulty. So sorry, hold on. Here we are. So we're just filling in the background, pushing the card through. And the next color that we're going to be kind of filling in here, we're going to be using a similar shading technique with a reddish brown. So I have a reddish brown here. We're going to pull out that cerulean blue. So we'll get all our colors together. We have some green. We have a magenta, an orange. We have some brown, black, a sky blue, and a couple shades of yellow should do. And that's the main ones that we have working. We have the other ones close by in case we need them. Our background is situated in a nice beige kind of color. And we're going to get started up here. The way that we want to kind of recreate this kind of X is we're kind of using the edge of our pastel and making almost a cross. So I'm just using the hard edge of the pastel and using the width of it to kind of make a nice big wide blue line, and then just kind of sweep across to make an X, just like so. And then we're going to take the top part of the pastel and softly brush around it. So we're just going to softly press around it, just like so. And here you can use your finger to blend. You can use a tissue to blend. You can use a sketch pen or a charcoal blender that kind of looks like a pencil, but I'm just going to use some tissue here and kind of coax it around my finger into a point. So we're going to just wrap my finger, kind of use what I have on hand. You can do this with a tissue, which has a smoother kind of finish. Paper towel has a little bit more of a rough finish. And we're just going to softly blend with our tissue. I'm just using some more pigment on here. And blend. A little more pigment. And blend. So we have this corner shaping up pretty nicely. Then we have this same shade using the edge. We're just going to create a thick A couple of lines here on our map to represent. Just kind of smoothing that out a little bit. I'm going to put a lot of pressure just to make it really pop, so that you don't see any of the background kind of peeking through, just like so. And then with a lighter yellow, we're just going to softly brush around. And this is just going to represent the lands. There's some speckles of brown in here too. So again, just softly. And even use like the little brown residue that kind of comes off to just press in and smudge. Some of these flakes that kind of come off can just be manipulated with your finger and just creating just a very braille-like texture in the imagery. Like so. So then we have, I think I have an even lighter blue here. So this area here has an even lighter blue line. So we're just going to draw our line of light blue there. And then we have another thicker line. So just take some pressure to create a line there. And then we're going to work the way that the lines are created here. Some are widened and then some use the edge to make a thinner line. So we're just going to alternate the lines, kind of going down at an angle just to about the mid part. So I'm going to have my page kind of direct me to where the mid part is. So I'm kind of going to go at an angle and stop about to where my page ends. And I'm going to alternate my lines. So I'm going to do thin and a thick, thin, dark, and lightly pressure with a thicker. Thin, thicker, thin, thin, and thick. And just kind of work my way to just alternating the widths of the lines. And just like so. Just going to give it a little tap for texture. And then we have a little triangle of some of this lighter blue. A little bit of a different shade, more tropical blue. So we're going to do a little bit of that. I would say this one. In a triangle. So we're literally just softly kind of coaxing the crayon now into the shape of a triangle to match our map. And it's just really amazing to think that there were so many pictures and things that they had to depict many different ideas. And some people even say modern times that emojis kind of represent the same idea, using pictures to tell a story, or as they say, emote a feeling. And you can imagine all the different interpretations over the years. So once we have this side kind of figured out, we can then try these shapes. So with these shapes, it's just very angled. So it's almost like making a lowercase r and then repeating a lowercase r. So we're going to take our black color and kind of map out the width so we can have 4 kind of standing along here. So if you have a pencil handy, I'm just going to use our famous dot method to kind of gauge, okay, it's going to be about 1 inch wide both ways. And we need 4. So we're going to do 2 dots here. Give it some space. 2 dots here. 2 dots here. And 2 dots here. And kind of play with the spacing. So I think I'm just going to move this one over just a bit. And that should be good. So we're going to try to buff those little spacers out. And then the starting point is going to be just a little bit wider than here. Just a little bit wider. Just a little bit wider. And just a little bit wider. So just like so, you have these dots to just kind of tell you where you're going with these unique shapes. So when we draw, we're just going to do a little bit of an R going up with our picture. So we have a lowercase r, and now we're going to create another lowercase r, and come down and come down. Lowercase r, then come down and come down. Then we go up, lowercase r, come down, and like so. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines going across the first one. 5 on this one. 6 on this one. And 5 on this one. Representing a little water here. And just getting some greenery going like so. And again, you can just use top of your oil pastel. Put a bit of pressure in a circular motion. And just keep going till the white slowly starts to disappear, and you will get a bunch of excess, which is totally okay. You can just sweep it off with a little bit of tissue. Just putting a little pressure here. And again, just filling in those white little spots just to give it a little bit of smoothness with a lot of pressure. And just sweep away the excess. And then we have 2 little black lines shown here. And first half is done. And it's hard to believe that we're definitely getting in touch with our inspiration here. It's looking very close to the original. So we have a kind of turquoisey blue coming down this side. So I'm just going to select the closest blue that I have and just make a line coming down this way. Kind of elongating this one that we had earlier. So we have this line. Now we have this blue line. Now we're going to get ourselves a thicker brown line. And just kind of fill in any kind of gaps that the oil pastel might leave behind. And then we move ourselves to this first little section. Very simple triangles, and we have 4. So we're just going to jump right into it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Top it off with 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll shade a little of this pinkish magenta in between. So just using my crayon, kind of working backward into on itself. Just getting that pink in there. And now making a trail coming down. So I'm going to start with the furthest edge of the trail, making broken dotted lines. And I'm just kind of twisting around and trying to get the edge as best as I can to make a straight line. And just coming down at a curve. And these broken lines are about a centimeter big. So we're just kind of creating the trail, representing footsteps, traveling, movement. Amazing that simple little lines can mean so much more than just a little line. And again, just moving through. And I'm doing one more layer of lines, kind of moving through here. And from the magenta, I'm just going to shade some of this brown. In there like so. And then just kind of using my finger to just kind of blend that in. Excellent. So now next to these lines, we are doing some X's. So I just have a little row of X's. And then we have almost like a squared off edged sun. So we're just making a circle, but it's more boxy than just a plain circle, more like an octagon, but not a perfect octagon. And then we're creating a crosshatch kind of line. So we're going to start with an oval kind of shape. And just draw a bunch of straight lines one way. And straight lines going the other way. And then outlining that in black. And then continuing X's around here. And then underneath our triangles. We're using the magenta again. And slowly starting to create the line. Making them kind of thick, dotted, with a purposeful curve here. So this is really curving itself. Coming down. Towards the X's. And up the center into this blue area here. So just to go over everything that we did, we have this first grayish blue line on the left. We have this grayish line here. We move to create this kind of X shape with some brown fields around it. We have this representing land. Then we have this shaded with some greens and some yellows. And we drew these shapes here. And threw in some blue and some green. And the blue kind of layers down a little further. You can throw that in there. You ended it off with some two lines over here. And then we moved over to this triangled section in a lighter blue. Then we moved into more shapes like so. And magenta inlay here. We moved all the way to the left with a big blue line. We have our brown line. And then we created a bunch of black broken lines going here. We have this shaded brown. And then a squared off kind of octagon shaped sun. And then we move down into this crosshatch style oval circle. And then we have a lot of lines that we're looking at here in the bottom left corner. So the line colors that we're going to start off with is going to be the orange. So we're kind of just going to go in each section and do a lot of overlapping. So we'll start with orange in our colors. We'll then go into the green, and then we'll finish off with the blue on top. So we have pretty much this going. The one line that we didn't actually get to do is this brown one up top. So let's go ahead and kind of cross that off of our list. So the one kind of framing the one at the top. And then we can get started with these kind of more interesting looking lines. Looks more complex, but it really is not that hard. And it does look like a little juvenile, but everything that she did in terms of symbolism was considered very important when creating this. So you might want to take some time to just kind of, if you're using oil pastel, shake your project off and kind of clear your area a little bit, because it can get a little messy using oil pastels. Just take some time to just clean off any excess that you may have lying around. And then we just have our main colors kind of close by. So again, for this little corner section, we have our orange. We have apologies. There we go. So for the corner, we have the orange, the blue, and the green. So this orange, this green, and this blue shall do. And we'll keep the other ones handy. So for this first little section, we have some lines going straight here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. And then an X marks the spot. And then we kind of have symbols that kind of look like equal signs not far below. So we have a couple equal signs. And a minus sign, and that's not to say that it actually represents or symbolizes plus or minus signs. It's just I like to relate what you may have already written or drawn to kind of get your mind to think how, okay, that's a little easier. I can just imagine me drawing an equal sign, and it is something that I've done before, so you're not so intimidated when I say, okay, create 2 parallel lines. Well, an equal sign, right? That's what it looks like. And then we have a single dash right below our equal sign is a short line, and then a long one that looks like a crisscross or a plus sign. We have a thick swoop down here. Move on to another kind of dash and line. Then we have a squiggle going on, which is representative of movement. So let's get some squiggle here. Then we have multiple lines going across there. A triangle next to our trail here, and multiple lines at the bottom. So that is basically what we have done in the orange color. So right now we're just focusing on these orange pieces first, and then we're going to layer. And the reason why I chose orange too first is because generally when you have somewhat of a darker color going on top, if I try to put the orange on top of a blue or green, it will probably smear into a brown, versus if I put the orange on, excuse me, the blue on top of the orange, you might have a better chance of seeing it more clearly, and doesn't really create that much of a layering issue. So I'm going to create some more blue lines now. I have 3 kind of to the right of these original orange ones. I have several lines kind of going through or near this X, like so. And then right below that, I have a circle within a circle. So right next to this plus minus sign, I'm going to put a circle within a circle, like so. Then we have a line coming out of these jagged pieces and going across almost to the trail here. We have a straight line kind of coming down before the squiggle. Then we have another line coming down underneath here. That's this one. We have 2 lines. Then we have the X going across there. Then moving upwards to the left, right under this, we have about a triangle looking shape with a, looks almost like the letter A. So triangle with a line going through it. And then we have another blue line and another blue line right here. And then last but not least, the color green. the color green is going to finish off this little corner. And so we'll just try our best to just kind of align what it looks like. So in the middle of this group of lines, we have an angled line going up and a straight line coming down. Then we have a line kind of going under these three. We have to the left of the A, another green line, like so. And then right where the A kind of ends is another little squiggle kind of accompanying this other orange squiggle. So we'll just make that little snake motion happen. And as you see here, we have a green creating almost a teepee inside that X. And then another equal sign, kind of just moving across. Then just in this empty space is just a green line in the empty space. And then through the donut comes a nice hefty green line right below that. Through there. And now we're going to exit off. So X marks the spot this way. Like so. Then around this little curve here, we'll throw in some green in this kind of shape right there. 3 lines of green. Then through this triangle, we have a line coming out and another kind of squared off X shape. And then to the left here in this kind of space that doesn't really have anything yet, we're going to just create more angled green lines. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 1, 2, 3. And you might think that it's a little silly. Okay, it looks juvenile. It kind of looks like a little kid drew this, but it is very similar to seeing something on like a cave wall. And not to say that it's juvenile, but it does have a representation. So even though you don't necessarily think that it looks too good, you have to also think about the resources that they may have had when creating stylized pictures like this. So when I'm asking you to just put the lines in and make it look as similar as possible, if you want to just kind of look at it, it does have all angles, it does have movement, it does have you know, different kind of symbols and things that are representative of how things looked when they were seen on, say, a rock wall, or when they are depicted on a piece of leather. And it's all important to their culture and tradition to not just, okay, say, let's just draw a bunch of squiggles, but just have a more purposeful eye when placing the lines. And then we have just a couple more pieces here. We've done the ones on the left. It's asking for 2 straight lines here. So 1, 2 of the bigger lines. And then just really stacking them 2 above this orange one. And then 3 above this orange one. And then a little triangle down here. And then I think also it's just fun to explore another art style, another medium, and just kind of be inspired to something that you wouldn't necessarily want to, you know, or have the imagination to create for yourself. And this is something new to try. This is something different. And like I said, it comes with symbolism. So we do have a lot of spaces in here that I would like to kind of clean up. So now it's kind of the cleanup session where you see a lot of the oil pastel has left this kind of negative space and blotchiness. So now that we have the main page and look of everything down, now we can really go in and kind of smooth out all our lines. So that's what we're going to be doing going forward next. So blending, smoothing, and just making it a more cohesive look, not as spotty and splotchy. And the way that we do that, I'm going to just really get in with this magenta color and just move in a circular motion and put a lot of pressure with oil pastels. It does take some time to just really take your time to blend, and moving in that circular motion really gets the color and pigment into the grooves. And then you want to, like I said, keep a tissue handy for blending and kind of sweeping off. You can sweep off with a paintbrush as well. If you don't really have, they do have, supplies that you can buy that are specific, but we like to use what we have on hand. And really, like I said, we're just going back in with more pressure and just really smoothing out any of that negative space and creating a more clean and smooth look in between here, so it's not so splotty and kind of blotchy looking. And just kind of taking out any of the excess. And then a lot of times too, what people like to do when working with oil pastels, like if you need to really get in the spot, you just put a piece of paper down and get in and really color and smooth out. So as you see there, that really looks good. Then we're just going to focus kind of on this one that's just looking very unsmooth. And then a lot of times with oil pastels, people think, oh, you can't blend. I mean, you can blend, and I'm actually going to show you here, because this blue, when you do put a lot of pressure, is a very bright. I'm going to take a little bit of the white that I have and then just put white kind of in here first. And kind of push out any of the other blue that's already on there. And now come in with some more on top. And a little more pressure. And again, I'm holding it not like a regular pencil, but just more off to the side. Just getting in a nice smooth edge color and line. And again, just coming in now. I'm just going to take my tissue and just clean off the white. As you can see, it has a lot of residue, and then just coming in again and now softly layering. So now I'm literally going just right on top of the oil pastel, but I'm just lightly pressing. It slowly starts to change the tint. And just kind of color on the scrap paper to take any of the excess blue off. I'm just kind of rubbing over the white. And now it looks more smooth. And now same thing with the green. The green just has like a lot of negative space. So I'm just going to take a piece of paper here so I'm not smudging the whole picture. I'm just coming in a circular motion and just really kind of filling in the space with color, having pressure to just kind of smooth it out. Kind of going over that little bit of blue so it's peeking through. That little layer of blue. Another good thing to think about when working with oil pastels is getting a pack that has a decent variety of shades. So while it is cool to blend, it's always good to get the big variety packs of different shades. Okay, so it's a little more put together for the look that we're going for. And then last but not least, just trying to really take that beige and just fill in any of the background that looks really piecey. So we're just going to go in and kind of clean up our picture, kind of dusting off any of the excess pencil shavings, any excess of the oil pastel, just kind of, because we're going to get into the background and just really clean up the space. I'm just kind of taking the excess off, dusting the excess off. And then just touching up any of the space that I feel like deserves a little more attention. Any kind of big white spaces that says, hey, you know what? I think it could look a little cleaner, a little better. So just kind of going in, not really leaving anything out. Being careful, just trying not to touch any other color or seeing that any of the excess shavings kind of blends in. You can always try to color it out. And let me just scrape off any kind of boo-boo, whether it's with a palette knife or if you're lucky enough to have a decent manicure like me, you could just take out any of the little imperfections that you want to kind of move out the way. And just push my crayon up a little. Okay. And there you have it. So we have our inspiration here from the artist Jaune Quick-to-See Smith. She has this work of art as her inspiration. And of course, when you think of the lines and you think of the pictures, it does tell a story. And this is your recreation of that story. So once you're complete, whether you're doing it in oil pastel or you're doing it in crayon, I'm going to take my trusty little work here and just sign the bottom right hand corner. Let's see, press a little harder so you can see my name, and your inspiration is complete. Ta-da! Just gonna back up a little bit just so you can see the final inspiration. And there you have it. From Jaune Quick-to-See Smith. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And I would love it if you
Erica Quick-to-Draw Soto.
That's my new name, right?
Yep.
And it's fun to play around. These oil pastels, I mean, it's good if you're a first-time artist, this type of style too, because it's really hard to make a mistake, really. If you're not that confident and you show someone this and you say, hey, I made a painting or a drawing, and they probably look at it like, oh, okay, that's nice. And then you show them the original, it's like, oh wow, it looks exactly like the inspiration. So I like doing stuff like this. It's an art style that's not really similar to my own favorite. So to get out of the comfort zone is always nice to just try something new, right? Why not?
Good job.
Thank you. And thank you everybody. And if anyone would like to share their inspiration or work that they did today, I would love to see it. But if not, as always, we'll see you guys the next time. Just cleaning up here. And then, like I said, these oil pastels I got at Michael's. Very affordable. Has a decent amount of colors. And if you're looking to try a new medium, oil pastels are awesome. And there you are, guys.